Have you ever caught a moment when reality seems to break right before your eyes? People disappear in the frame, objects hover in the air, reflections behave incorrectly, and random surveillance camera footage looks as if someone opened a door to another universe for a second. Today, we will show footage after which you will no longer be able to look at our world as before. This is real proof of parallel universes, and some of them are simply impossible to explain. Icicles are just frozen water, and they obey the temperature to change their state. And here we have a levitating icicle, which is not entirely explicable. People write in the comments that it could be attached by a thin hair or a cobweb, but how would it hold up in the wind? Perhaps we missed something? Many residents of Canada witnessed a Honda Civic car dangling on a cable hanging from a bridge in Toronto. Police, firefighters, and an ambulance arrived at the scene for an inspection, but the car could not be identified. It had no license plate and all the windows were smashed. Some suggested that the car was used for filming a movie. That is what the police initially thought as well, but the investigation showed that no film sets were planned in that area. Other commentators stated that someone perhaps wanted to pull a major prank, or it could be an art installation. In the end, the car was safely lowered to the ground by the fire department, but to this day, the police do not know what happened there and who is behind it. You have probably observed the effects of airplanes frozen in the sky, when the illusion arises that during the descent for landing they seem motionless in the air for some period of time, especially if you are moving towards them. Let me give a few examples. Here, a person on the way to the airport notices a hovering airplane in the air. This is not the only case. In the following episode, we see another such motionless object. Perhaps both of these videos are fake, but people in the comments seem to have also appreciated the unusual effect. However, such miracles happen not only with airplanes. For example, in this video, a bird hangs motionless in the middle of the sky. So do we live in a simulation where glitches happen from time to time? Or is it the laws of physics creating optical illusions when speeds and directions are compared? And the bird, for example, hung on wires. Well, now you are already thinking, let us move on. Let us go to the year 1975. The story of the Pollock sisters still remains inexplicable. In May of that year, in the English town of Hexham, girls with the names Joanna and Jacqueline went to church with their parents. On the way, they were hit by a car and the children died. This became a crushing blow for the parents. But years passed and the woman gave birth to twins, again girls, who were named Jennifer and Jillian. Shortly thereafter, the parents made a strange discovery. Jennifer had exactly the same birthmark as her deceased sister Jacqueline. Sometimes this happens, you can ask geneticists, but everything became even more mysterious when Jennifer grew up. She started asking for certain toys of Jacqueline, for example, dolls, to which she gave exactly the same names. She loved the exact same food and allegedly recognized some place that she had definitely never seen before. Many cite this case as one of the most convincing proofs of reincarnation. Essentially, this means that a living being can be born anew and walk the same path, correcting a mistake of fate. Do you think there can be malfunctions in this matrix? And in this case, the universe decided to fix the oversight by rewarding the couple again with twin girls with a reset to default settings. Undoubtedly, we are all occupied by the theory of eternal return, according to which the universe always repeats itself and will continue to repeat itself countless times, since it represents an infinite multitude. But how would you like the statement that every person on Earth has a doppelganger? For example, if all the doppelgangers of this woman were riding in one bus or train, like these three men who look exactly the same, would this be proof that our world is actually a simulation, and we all perform our functions in it like robots? For centuries, disputes have continued about whether teleportation is possible. Some scientists even confirm this with calculations in the field of quantum mechanics, but whether the possibility of time travel actually exists is unknown. Until the facts have been proven officially, we have circumstantial evidence. For example, this video from Russia. Look, two colorful street characters are calmly conversing. One has an accordion in his hands, the second asks questions, and someone third is filming them on video. Suddenly, a cyclist appears from behind the man's back. He rode out literally from nowhere. It feels like like he teleported from behind, exactly behind the standing person. Otherwise, if he had ridden up from the side, we would have seen him on the left side of the screen. The strangeness of this video is that the cameraman himself asks where the person on the bicycle in the frame came from. Since then, discussions have continued on the internet about how this could have happened. Some suggested that the man on the bicycle is a time traveler. Others argue that it was a specially staged camera trick. In any case, the event is very mysterious. What do you think? Could there be some dead zone for the camera behind the standing person? Or is it some kind of paradox? Let me know in the comments. The worst nightmare of any driver is a sudden obstacle on the road, especially a pedestrian. But what would you say if someone appears out of nowhere on a busy highway in broad daylight? When you see the next moment, you will think that this is an excerpt from a science fiction movie about teleportation. The road that day was full of cars. This car with a dashcam follows a truck. What happens next looks like a glitch because the truck begins to swerve sharply and dodge, as if all its wheels had burst. After a few seconds, we understand what caused such insane maneuvers. A man appears in the frame, crossing the road so calmly, as if he teleported from another reality. Could this be the definitive proof that we live in the era of computer simulation of the universe? The highway is the last place where you would want to end up unexpectedly. Imagine, you opened your eyes and found that you are standing in the middle of a noisy stream of cars that are frantically rushing past. This video, filmed in Chile, shows a terrifying moment. We see two cars rapidly rushing past, and then a dog appears in the same place. It feels like it also teleports out of thin air, just like the previous pedestrian. Where did it come from? After all, usually highways are fenced off from animals, and if it stood there a few moments before the cars appeared, how were they able to drive around it? It also happens like this. You are driving in a car, you look at a passerby and say that only a headless person could cross the street in this way. Has it happened? And what if he really does not have a head? Look, here is a man who seems to understand where he is heading, but his head is missing. It is nowhere to be seen. It is unclear how such a thing can happen because even zombies do not survive without heads. Again, we have proof that our world is a computer simulation and the character's head simply did not load properly, or again we will say this is fake and move on. The Eurovision Song Contest of 1971 was a historic event for many reasons, but what was captured on camera made some shudder and wonder if we are living in a simulation. We see how the audience enthusiastically applauds the performance. However, one woman stands out among everyone because her radiant smile during the ovation suddenly freezes, like the mask of a broken robot. But this is not even the creepiest part. For the entire remaining time, she remains motionless, as if she saw her husband in the arms of a stranger on stage and was dumbfounded. Or she had a heart attack. What do you think could have happened there? Is it a matrix with fake spectators or something else? Of course, every driver must keep an eye on the road, but it seems the hero of this video did not violate traffic rules. Very strange, but he still got into an accident. The craziest thing here is that his car was the only one on the road. As the footage clearly shows, he did not collide with another car, with the sky, or with a transparent wall. Then this traffic accident becomes an inexplicable mystery. Do you have any thoughts on this matter? Is it possible that he was hit by an invisible person or a ghost car? What will you answer to this? The following footage came from the state of Kentucky, United States of America. It was uploaded to social networks by people who have surveillance cameras for the areas in front of their doors in their homes. Here is the first case. On a rainy evening, a man was just walking by, but at some point, it seemed he dissolved into thin air and disappeared into nowhere. Maybe it was just a glitch in their camera. It fogged up or the recording was interrupted. Or did he really disappear himself? It is logical to assume that a transparent person is a ghost. The couple from Kentucky was puzzled, but their video turned out not to be the only puzzle of this kind. There were others who encountered a similar effect. Another video was uploaded by a man who introduced himself as Eric. Here we also see a person who walks by and suddenly disappears. As you can see, an identical observation. The question is, on which side of the camera is something supernatural happening? Or is it a technical glitch? Most children love Disney parks. There they can meet a miracle in reality. For example, walk holding the hand of their favorite superhero. Here, for example, is a woman dressed as Wanda Maximoff from the Avengers movies, and she works as an animator. There is nothing magical here. However, what happens in the background of the video makes you wonder, do such places attract some otherworldly forces? Look, again, some man appears literally out of nowhere. Did he step out of a portal or detach from Wanda? Personally, I cannot explain his appearance in any way. Perhaps you will succeed. I ask you to comment. In the next video, an excerpt from a documentary film from the 1970s, filmed by a German journalist, awaits us. Rolf Olsen shows us an African who is called a shaman, and he demonstrates on camera a phenomenon called levitation. This is a phenomenon when a person or object spontaneously rises and is held in the air with the help of magic or meditation. Science claims that there is no physical evidence of the existence of this ability, and that it is possible only with the help of magic tricks, illusions, or hallucinations. Of course, it is strange that the shaman waited for darkness to perform his ritual. If you look closely at the details, we notice that he also stood in a ring of fire. Why was it needed? Perhaps some equipment was hidden there? When the respected German journalist published this video recording, many condemned him and criticized him. As a result, his reputation suffered greatly. In those days, there were not as many overhyped charlatans as today. Do you think it is really possible to hover in the air without any devices? Let me know in the comments. If African shamans can lift off the ground by a few centimeters, then what to say about the abilities of this woman from India? Not at night, but in broad daylight in the city, she stands on the top of a tall tree, and although she looks like a living person, many think they see a ghost. Otherwise, why would a person climb a tree and stand for hours on its branches? It seems quite dangerous, and I do not understand what the point is. The locals think that this woman has magical powers and preys on trees every day. Others say that she is just possessed and insane, which is why she climbed the tree. If you think this is the first time a person has been found on a tall tree, you are mistaken. In this video, we again see a woman standing on a tree like an idol. According to the stories, she prayed and even danced there at an unstable height of 8 to 9 meters. All this is definitely very mysterious, but I am worried about the practical side of the question. How did they manage to clamber up there in long, tight-fitting robes? Please tell me. A cemetery in an Indonesian village became a place of pilgrimage for locals after a strange creature appeared there. Even tourists came to see because local legends spoke about it. Kuntilanak is a character in Indonesian folklore, a mythical creature, a ghost vampire, and it allegedly hid in the branches of a century-old tree. The creature appeared there at dawn. In the end, several hundred people gathered around the tree to get a closer look at it. Kuntilanak is the vengeful spirit of a woman who died pregnant, and it sucks blood from unsuspecting victims, often dwelling near cemeteries. As you can see, there are many people around the tree, but it is unclear whether they actually see anything. And would you keep watch there, knowing what character theoretically visited the village? Prepare to experience anxiety. A creature very similar to a mermaid was pulled from an unknown lake in Poland. In the video recording, which lasts about 2 minutes, a group of men in special protective suits places it on a stretcher. Some think that this is a deleted scene from a thriller or detective story. But then tell me, from which one? Since we could not find any official or private information on this matter, the incident, filmed on a hidden camera by an anonymous person, remains very mysterious. We can clearly see that this creature seems to have a tail and at the same time a human upper body. I wonder how they found out about the appearance of this creature. Was there some attack or eyewitness accounts? What do you think? Are all these legends about drowned women and mermaids not empty words, and such creatures really exist? Now we have mysticism from China next in line. This video was filmed in Shanghai next to the Pearl Tower and uploaded by a user with the name, oddly enough, Bruce Lee. There is not much information about the event, but as we can see, stormy weather is raging in the city. Now I will tell you why it is here. If you look closely, among the lightning bolts you can spot a black figure hovering in the air next to the building. This is not even the strangest part because lightning discharges pass through the figure several times. Some people compared the figure to Raiden, a fictional character from the Mortal Kombat comic series. It seems that it is charging from the lightning to gain more energy. Do you think this could happen in reality, or is this also some kind of glitch? A man from California claimed to have caught Jesus Christ himself on camera. He was so amazed by the figure he saw in the sky that he grabbed his phone and started filming. More than one person saw a human-like shadow hovering in the air. The man was there with his wife and his friend. In the video recording, he can be heard talking to them, asking, "Is this Jesus Christ?" Then something even more surprising happened. The man zoomed in on the image and it turned out that the figure was not just hovering, but walking through the air and then suddenly dissolved. The man's friend put forward the idea that it could be a drone, but let us face the truth, it does not look like a drone at all. Believers say that Jesus Christ sometimes appears to people, but whatever it was, the vision remains a mystery. Have you ever experienced anything similar? This person on a sunny day was hiking through the Moragua crater in Bolivia when he stumbled upon a huge footprint about 115 centimeters in size. Can you imagine someone's 1-meter foot? The mysterious footprint puzzled many scientists. They had no idea what creature could leave such a large track. So what should we do? Admit that perhaps the character nicknamed Bigfoot does exist after all. Otherwise, what was it? After long studies, one paleontologist found out that the fossilized tracks probably belonged to a large species of dinosaur, perhaps an Allosaurus, one of the most dangerous predators that lived in the same era as Tyrannosauruses. In fact, it very much resembled a Tyrannosaurus, a terrifying predator that walked on 2 legs and used 2 short front paws like hands. What is even more surprising, the Allosaurus was a larger dinosaur, although it also lived about 100 million years ago. Well, if we assume that it could leave such a footprint in history, only one thing will remain a mystery. How did these tracks end up on a vertical wall? It could not walk on sheer cliffs. The next video was uploaded to YouTube in the year 2017, and in it a certain creature, similar to a dog or a half-human, walks on all 4s. The video was filmed in the African province of Limpopo, and this says a lot. Some people in the comments call this strange creature Dogman. If we look closer, its behavior really looks terrifying. The way the creature walks along with other dogs is quite abnormal. This is not a game and not a training session. The author of the video also mentions that locals have reported several times observing this newly emerged Mowgli and even his frightening close contacts with dogs. Information was found that this man's name is Philip Oliphant, and he is trying to establish contact with dogs in this way. This might be true, but still, the main question remains the same. Why? If he is simply insane, then the locals would have stated this immediately. The intrigue continues. Mother Nature sometimes plays inexplicable tricks, like in this video from Ghana. We see how rain falls in only one spot. To say rain is an understatement. It looks like a waterfall from the sky, but exactly how such precipitation is possible remains a big mystery. Let us try to explain the following plot, which came to us from the News of the Sky news channel. When this clip was uploaded to YouTube, viewers quickly noticed that something strange happened here. At first glance, nothing extraordinary. The British Chancellor exits a building with a red folder under his arm, and behind him, at a distance from the side, a cameraman with a camera follows. When the official walks past a parked car, we lose sight of him for a moment. And now, when he reappears, his folder suddenly changes color from red to green. How do you explain this? Did he turn it inside out in 3 steps? Many call this a glitch in the Matrix. This is an event that could only happen in a simulation. Agree, there is no sense or logical explanation for the folder changing color. Some people stated that the video was intentionally edited by the news channel itself to create a sensation. But think for yourself, why would they do this with a political figure? It is unclear. I would also rule out an optical illusion. Not only the color, but also the style of the folder differs. In any case, this minor event remains extremely mysterious. What do you think is behind this? The creation of the internet brought global changes to the ways of interaction and allowed people around the world to be united. However, now it has become much more difficult to distinguish deception from truth. And also, along with the public network, various secret societies and related mysteries appeared. On the 4th of January 2012, on one public forum, an internet puzzle was published, posted under the nickname Cicada 3301. In the post, there was a picture with a mysterious text stating that a certain group is looking for highly intelligent individuals capable of solving this puzzle and understanding the task. The puzzle spread across various internet resources all over the earth and even ended up in the so-called darknet. But despite new clues that appeared every year from the same user, no one ever solved the essence of this charade. Its authors and destinations still remain a big secret. Maybe you have heard anything about this. It is interesting to know who the people behind the nickname Cicada 3301 were. Theories and versions vary from ventures of international intelligence bureaus, from the Central Intelligence Agency to Military Intelligence Section 16, to possibly the tricks of private individuals, some advanced hackers who were looking for new people for their team. Those who possessed outstanding knowledge, mastered cryptography and steganography, and could understand the secret meaning of the message. Apparently, the vacancy is still open. This video was uploaded by a Russian man. He filmed it somewhere near a railway station. We see an electric ball with a bright glow crossing the tracks. The man noticed it on his way home and immediately grabbed his camera. Despite the fact that there was a thunderstorm, the strange object seemed to emit an electrical discharge, which then struck a pole. On the internet, this glowing sphere caused a lot of noise. The majority called it ball lightning, but it is known that ball lightning can rarely be observed for so long. As a rule, they appear for a few seconds, and here the ball moves for a long time, which leads me to think most likely computer graphics took place here. Do you agree, or will you defend the lightning hypothesis and the honesty of the author of the filming? In world history, there have been very strange epidemics that no one could explain. The most shocking event of the Middle Ages was the dancing plague that happened in the year 1518 in Strasbourg. It all started with a woman named Franconia who started dancing and could not stop, and within a week, 34 more people joined her. Within a week, already more than 400 people were dancing uncontrollably, and they were not having fun at all. In fact, the situation became so creepy that some died on the spot from heart attacks or exhaustion. At some point, there were up to 15 deaths a day, but doctors did not believe that this hysteria had supernatural causes. There is a version that the craving for dancing was associated with food poisoning from a fungus that affected the wheat. Its spores could put a person into a deep trance. Unfortunately, it still has not been proven what caused this mystical infection and whether there is a risk of its recurrence in the future. The next story takes us back to the distant 12th century and tells about little green men. Yes, even then these rumors were already circulating the world, but it will be about the inhabitants of the earth. In the forest near the village of Woolpit in England, 2 children with green skin were found. They looked like humans, but spoke an unknown language and wore clothes made of strange materials. Furthermore, they ate only raw beans. Soon the rescued boy fell ill and died, but the girl learned to speak English, and after a while her green skin tone disappeared. She told that she came from a place called St. Martin's Land, where she lived in an underground realm with other green people. Probably, these children somehow left their strange family and got lost, ending up in a dark cave, which eventually led them out into the sunlight towards the village. The story of the green children remains a great mystery to this day. Some consider it a fairy tale, while others believe that the children had extraterrestrial origins or came from another civilization that lived in an underground tunnel. By the way, about tunnels, their mere sight is already creepy enough. It looks as if it leads into a horror movie. But what happens next in this clip inspires awe. As we see, a sign with the inscription "Entrance" hangs over the hole, like a warning that everyone acts at their own risk, deciding to squeeze in there. When one of the boys decides to turn on the light, we suddenly realize that the words from the signboard have disappeared, as if evaporated. Is this some kind of special paint, or did it just seem to us that there was a sign there? Quite strange. The next unusual video was filmed by a surveillance camera in a store. It was uploaded to the network by an employee who was reviewing the recordings and stumbled upon something disturbing. We see a man who just walks past a mirror, but it immediately becomes clear that he leaves no reflection in it. No one in the store seems to notice this. In the comments, it was noted that the man looked pale. Does it follow from this that he could turn out to be a vampire? Someone actually believes that they really exist. I do not know if the person in this video is a vampire, but it is still abnormal that we do not see any reflection in the mirror. Of course, all this material can turn out to be both an optical illusion and an edited hoax, but I started paying more attention to the shadows and reflections of strangers. And what about you? The 21st of September 1995 became a momentous day in India. On this day, religious events were taking place at the Sri Durga Vishnu Temple in New Delhi. Believers witnessed a miracle involving the statue of the Hindu deity Ganesha. He is traditionally depicted with the head of an elephant and is revered as the god of wisdom, patron of arts and sciences. A local resident woke up the temple attendant early in the morning and reported that the statue of Ganesha was drinking milk. Other witnesses also told that when they made made offerings to the statue, they approached with a spoon of milk and placed it under the trunk. Incredibly, the milk disappeared, as if someone was actually sucking it up. Can you imagine what started after this? Crowds of exalted believers rushed to the temple to offer milk to Ganesha. This even led to an increase in prices for dairy products, as everyone started buying it in huge quantities. Let us return to the situation. Could this be a miracle? Scientists, of course, did not believe this and suggested that somewhere there must be a reservoir or a sponge where the liquid goes. And most importantly, who would have thought of creating this illusion? It seems beneficial only to milk producers. It is known that humpback whales are strictly marine animals, which are among the largest mammals in the world. They grow on average to 13 to 16 meters, and for habitat they also prefer spacious ocean territories, rarely visiting shallow bays or reservoirs flowing into the ocean. However, in February 2019, news appeared on the network that the body of a humpback whale was found in the Brazilian jungle, about 15 meters from the coast. According to the people who examined it, the length of the animal was about 11 meters. The main question, of course, was how it got there. This remains a mystery to this day, although there is a version about a powerful tornado, due to which the whale ended up in the tropical forest. And another one, a giant wave could have thrown the lifeless body from the sand of the beach far onto the shore. A humpback whale can weigh up to 30 tons. What kind of force of a wave is needed for such a throw? A living whale could not move such a heavy body without water even by 1 meter. Let us continue the investigation. In May 2013, in the middle of a street in the Chinese city of Nanjing, a strange substance appeared, which, it is said, came out of a crack in the road surface and gradually began to cover the area with a wide stain. Many of those who were nearby came to look and stated that an unpleasant odor emanated from the substance. The site of the leak was cordoned off by the police, but suddenly the substance moved back to where it came from. A few hours after the publication of the video on the internet, many theories appeared about what it could be. Some believe that these are some chemicals mixed with sewage, or perhaps they were used in underground construction, but something went wrong. Or maybe this substance had an extraterrestrial origin. Have you ever happened to see reflections that play jokes on you, sometimes appearing, sometimes disappearing? What is the name of the effect when we clearly see something and then suddenly stop seeing it? This is similar to the myth of vampires who have no reflection. How to explain this phenomenon? At first, through the window, we see a fire in the bushes, and when the camera moves from behind the glass, the fire disappears. This is quite strange. The only suspicion I have is towards the room from which the filming is being conducted. What if, on the inside of the window, a fire from a fireplace is reflected, for example? What considerations do you have? In the year 1997, a low-frequency underwater sound was recorded in the South Pacific Ocean, which is still hotly debated in scientific circles. It was detected by a group of Russian researchers, and initially they decided that the signal came from a giant sea creature. This is how it was. Listen. Scientists hypothesized that an animal capable of producing such a powerful sound must be many times larger than a 25-meter blue whale. Another theory is that such frequencies could be emitted by the movement of glaciers, causing giant vibrations. However, many do not believe this theory, saying that the ocean has been studied by us only by 5%. People believe there is a high probability that an undiscovered sea monster is hiding in the depths of the ocean. What do you think about this noise? Is it technical or alive? Some people are already afraid of boat trips due to pitching or the unpredictability of the weather inside the ocean. But how will you react if you see a boat hovering in the sky? What will you say? Is this a mirage, the tricks of aliens, or an error in the matrix? How could a vessel ascend above the waterline? I will hint that the boat hovers only in our minds. There is a phenomenon in nature known as fata morgana, and it is responsible for all inconceivable optical illusions, such as this one. But let us discuss anyway. We are often amazed while observing large flocks of birds, how they manage to coordinate their actions. After all, each bird has its own head, but sometimes glitches still happen in their coordinated actions, and then a disaster occurs. On the eve of the new year of 2011, a frightening event occurred in America. Thousands of birds fell from the sky. In the state of Arkansas the next morning, eyewitnesses counted more than 5,000 blackbirds, which possibly collided with buildings, concrete pillars, and trees. An assumption was voiced that the the birds could have been frightened by loud fireworks launched the night before. But the story became much more disturbing when the same thing happened exactly 1 year later. Only this time, fireworks were banned in the city. Also, thousands of dead fish were found washed ashore. The cause of this is still not clear, but there are many supporters of the hypothesis that these phenomena are connected with the impending end of the world. If you trace the chronicle, you can find reports of other similar events around the world. I think that you have heard at least once about the inexplicable lights from Hessdalen. This phenomenon fits well into the list of mysterious events because their secret is also not uncovered. Unusual lights have been observed in Norway for decades, and in the 1980s, they appeared up to 20 times a week. Ufologists believe that the lights, 12 kilometers in length, have not a natural but an extraterrestrial origin. There is a scientific explanation, somewhat boring and complex. Allegedly, the light is emitted by some plasma, lightning, an electric field, or gases. But no one has given a clear answer, so we can only guess who or what creates the inexplicable lights every year. The Battle of Los Angeles is considered one of the strangest events in America. As we know from history, on the 7th of December 1941, the United States naval base in Hawaii in Pearl Harbor was attacked by Japan, which drew the United States into active participation in the Second World War. And on the 23rd of February 1942, a Japanese submarine attacked again. It surfaced off the coast of Santa Barbara in California and fired more than 17 shells. A day later, on the night of the 24th to the 25th of February, inexplicable lights and beams appeared in the sky over Los Angeles. Electricity was cut off in the entire city, and Americans began shooting at these unknown objects. However, there was no retaliatory strike, and also no debris was found. The next day, the published official statement contained the hypocritical wording, "false alarm." Although hundreds of eyewitnesses claim to have seen a UFO that night, is it possible that aliens flew to Earth to see what is happening? Then why did they not intervene to prevent one of the bloodiest wars in human history? In the following video, we become witnesses to a secret meeting of the United States government where the speaking woman claims that extraterrestrial life exists. I have no idea whether this is real or not, but before showing you the video, I will give context from history. In December 2018, a mysterious triangular UFO was detected over the Pentagon. As you may know, no one should fly over the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense except security. However, rumors have long been circulating that the government maintains contact with aliens or conducts secret military operations. And now, finally, a video has leaked onto the network in which an unknown man secretly films a meeting of the United States heads, where the mysterious flying triangle is discussed. Only high-ranking military and politicians were present at the secret meeting. The woman in the video seems to hint that the objects spotted over the Pentagon could be extraterrestrial. I wonder what conclusion the authorities came to and what they decided to undertake. Maybe one of you has the continuation of this video. On the 30th of June 1908, Russia was shaken by a massive invasion of a cosmic body. In the northwestern part of Lake Baikal, a powerful explosion occurred. People living nearby saw a bluish light or a fireball flying through the air, which created the sound of a deafening strike and a powerful shockwave. Imagine the scale: about 80 million trees over an area of 2,100 square kilometers were knocked down, and the fauna perished. The event is described as the collision with the Earth of a large meteorite. It was named the Tunguska event after the place of impact, not far from the river of the same name. If the consequences of the fall were so palpable, then a giant crater should have formed at the site. However, a pit was never found. Fortunately, the incident occurred in a remote area. It could have had catastrophic consequences if it had happened in a populated area. For over a century, several theories have emerged about what could have happened, from the crash of an alien spaceship to the appearance of a microscopic black hole. Another theory suggests that it was not a solid body, but a comet consisting of a substance similar to ice, and it allegedly disintegrated subsequently, but definitive proof was never found. Therefore, the name Tunguska meteorite became fixed in official history. Do you think that a burning coal the size of a house is soaring in the sky? Let us trace how events can be connected. Here we have the very Chelyabinsk meteorite invading the Earth's atmosphere, which in February 2013 made a lot of noise in the city. At this very time, a surveillance camera of the Russian Historical Museum captured something extraordinary. The dome covering the exhibit, a sample of a meteorite, began to move on its own. It strove to rise, as if something from above was magnetizing the contents. It is worth reminding that this was was a very noticeable invasion. The impact created a powerful wave that knocked out many windows in the city. According to the security staff of the museum, there were no technical problems with the electronics that day. Nothing could have caused the movement of the dome. Is it worth considering that objects of extraterrestrial origin possess magical properties or obey other physical laws? For example, they sense each other at a great distance. Even if we reject the version that they strove to reunite and the movement of the dome was caused by a mechanical error, in any case, this coincidence remains a mystery. This video scares everyone who does not like supernatural phenomena. What will you feel clearly seeing not one, but two suns on the horizon? Before you say that one of them is the sun and the other is the moon, the author of the video shows where the real moon is. Then what is this other luminary or planet standing next to our sun? If it is an optical illusion or a mirage, why then does the additional sun shine so brightly? I wonder if I was able to convince you to take a different look at inexplicable, technogenic, and natural phenomena. Write in the comments everything you think about this matter and subscribe to the Top Facts channel for compilations of the most incredible facts and videos from all over the internet. Thank you for watching, and right now watch the previous incredible episodes that have already appeared on your screen.